Aloha, this is Dan. From 2016 to 2017, I tried my hand at putting out video essays about film topics on YouTube. The production of it was more than I could handle at the time, so I shut it down after only several episodes. But now that I'm getting my podcast up and running again, I've reworked the audio from that show into podcast episodes, which I will publish by the dates that the YouTube episodes were originally published or intended to be published. This one was originally from February 17th, 2017. New content is on the way as well.
Hello, this is Dave. I apologize for bad camera quality. I'm not so much a technology person like my brother is, and even the simple YouTube knowledge of having a quality video I have no clue how to do without buying an expensive camera. My brother will figure it out. He knows technology. I'm making a video today because I want to compare two movies I've just seen for a philosophical commentary on what creates a dumb but entertaining popcorn action flick, to use that meme that's going around, which would mean a movie that's simply, it's action, it's not great, it's not exactly Mad Max Fury Road or Terminator 2, True Lies, or any of the great action horror, sci-fi movies, which neither of these movies are. What I've seen is two movies, which were a movie called Spectral from some independent studio and appeared on Netflix pretty recently. I want to compare that with that delightful film I saw last night called Resident Evil Final Chapter, number 6, I think. I was gonna just do Resident Evil, but on further thought, I realized comparing it to a movie like Spectral, which was entertaining enough, even though it was a meh movie. It was a popcorn action movie that it's like, oh, I could just watch this and turn my brain off, and it's pretty fun. The characters, everything's forgettable, but it looks cool, and it's generally decent compared to a movie that was just, I was not expecting. So I saw it in theaters with my friend because we wanted to see a movie that we didn't have high expectations to see something good, and we compared the Rotten Tomatoes rating from Resident Evil to Underworld. And Underworld, I loved the first two movies, thought the third one was pretty good, and I disliked the fourth one. I thought it was a franchise killer, and so they made a fifth one, and I was like, okay, maybe it'll be good. Now that I read the reviews, nope. And I really loved the first two movies, even though many people nowadays saying they're just okay. I loved them. Since Underworld had such a low rating, we watched Resident Evil. To be honest, I grew up with the original games up to about 4, played a little bit of 5, didn't go up above that. The 7 looks really cool. And I liked the first movie when it first came out. I've seen it a few times. I haven't seen it in years. I didn't like the direction it went in as opposed to the games where it just became dumb action sci-fi, which the games did go in a bit, but they still always obtain that atmospheric horror element, at least up to 4, and maybe 7, I think, brought some of that back, and 6 to some extent. And so it lost a lot of the magic. When I was a kid, I remember being 11 or 12 and with my best friend, who I saw this with, watching the first game on PlayStation 1 and just seeing, like, it would just show you that highly pixelated door would just come at you and slowly open. That tension of all these scenes. You're just in a mansion. The acting's horrendous.
Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you.
We were scared out of our minds. It was an experience. And these movies call themselves Resident Evil, using similar looking monsters and just action, not having that awesome tension. You know, I looked more towards Silent Hill later on when they became more action, which that's another story. That second one was a franchise killer. But I wanted to just forget all that. I liked the first one. The second one was passable, and so was the third one. I think I saw snippets of the fourth and fifth one, but by then I was like, these are just schlock cash grabs. But I wanted to go into this, like, okay, this is the finale. The director is going to try harder. They're just trying to make it at least good, at least decent, at least fun, at least popcorn level, just dumb fun. Maybe try to make it a little epic, like a send-off. I was like, I knew there was going to be some of a Messiah element to it. I swore that. And I was somewhat right, but disappointed. And I wanted to go and just forget all that I thought about these movies and just be like, all right, it's like Spectral. I was just going to see a dumb, fun, pretty forgettable, but cool-looking popcorn action movie. It'll be dumb, fun enough. So let me start with what first hit me in it. So Alice didn't have her powers anymore, and She's like, oh, because she hadn't had it for a few movies. I don't know. I did see the last one. She is that character, and they have in some of these dumber action movies where they're a superhero. They can do everything. They can hack. They're a martial arts expert. They're a gymnast. There's nothing they can't do. So there's no sense of vulnerability. Even though she gets beat many times, and yay, she's a strong female lead, you knew she would get out of every situation until it was a plot point for her to die or something, which I thought was going to happen. But okay, I'll try not to get into spoilers too much, but there might be. Doesn't matter to me. But that's been for the last few movies when she suddenly was like Superwoman, She-Hulk. You was like, oh, she's like basically invulnerable and will get out of everything because she's a superhero. Did that even happen in any of the games? Even Leon was infected by the later virus in 4. And did anyone ever become a superhero in the Stars team? I don't remember this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it did happen. The flying creature scene in the beginning basically foreshadowed one of the main problems, and everything was a problem in this movie. I thought the effects were decent, but so what? Anybody can make good effects these days. The monsters did look cool, but the way they were filmed, and they were just throwaway. They didn't have any character. They were just, blah, I'm this big thing. When at least in some of the earlier movies they had character, and then the game's like, it's this, and this will pursue you, and this is menacing, and this, they're like, oh, it's big and horrible, but superhero Alice will take care of it. You just knew it was gonna happen. That Humvee scene where the thing's chasing her, it demonstrated how this was gonna be a quick edit. It's like, we're here, we're there. That's what it felt like. And for one, the volume was turned up way too high in the theaters, and that made it worse. But every action scene, I tried to follow it. I was okay, this happened, and this, oh no, this, and then okay, end of action. Not sure. Okay, oh now this is happening. It was frustrating. It just hurt. It was irritating. It was not fun. And before this, we were watching just randomly some snippets of Mad Max Fury Road before we went to the movies, and it just, the contrast. A lot was filmed intensely. I'm not sure if it's exactly shaky cam they use. They use a very, I'm not a film expert, but I'm not a film person. But the intense filming was not like that. Even when there were quick edits, they were very deliberate. This is just everything, and it was horrible and just confusing. It was cognitively disorienting. So the other main thing that appeared in the beginning several times over within the good 15-20 minutes, like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, and it was so predictable. It was like walk into scene, quiet, ooh this, walk into scene, quiet, ooh this, over and over and over again. It's like it was hidden all the checks of bad action movie cliche down the list. Things happened, terrible, endless action, she gets beat, but it's like in the old 80s Schwarzenegger movie, no matter how many hits she takes, no matter what, you know, she come right back up. Inhuman amounts of hits. Is she still have some of her powers left? I don't know. I'm not a fan of these movies. I don't understand it all. Also, the compound. She ends up at this compound, and after the chase and whatever, all that happened, what I really got me about that, I predicted it. I called it out, like, oh, this is gonna be, it's the same movie over and over and over again. You know, Alice survives. Alice gets to some survivors, and these survivors have to survive, and then they're picked off one by one, and the few of the most important survivors live. And but then each script they try less and less and less. So by the time it gets to this movie, it's throwaway post-apocalyptic character number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever, however many. It's like they're just nameless people. I don't even think they give names except for like 2 of them. No backstory. There was that one girl, she said something about her father, so trying to get some backstory. It was a little sad when she died, because the youngest, most vulnerable one dies. Like, oh, that's sad, but I didn't really know her. Okay. And I saw them, I was like, oh, these are nameless cannon fodder to be killed. But there's, you don't know any of them, and there's no sense of like, you know, we were surviving here and this is what it's like, and it's just, oh hi, we're in this building and we're survivor people, and okay, yeah, we're here, oh, you're gonna be in charge, okay. It just kind of happened, and action stuff happened. It was like getting hit in the head with a jackhammer or a sledgehammer, just bam, 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 bam. It literally gave me a headache. It might just have been the sound, but the following the editing. there were scenes I noticed, I'm not sure if it was shaky cam, but I swear to the Lord there was shaky cam and like just standing there exposition drama scenes of like it never stopped moving. The camera never just stopped and just it's like, oh, there's a scene. Even when it showed you a city, it was like, zoom here, zoom there, and this is happening, we're going here. It never stopped. It gave you like vertigo, and you just were like disoriented. It was like a nauseating feeling. The way they explained how they were going to save the world and the way that happened was dumb. It made no sense. It defied physics, and it was just so convenient. It was just stupid. By that point, they're in the compound, they go, ooh, full circle, they're back to the scene of the first movie. Okay, there was nothing redeeming about this movie. I don't regularly see a lot of popcorn action movies, except when I see them on Netflix. Sometimes I'll get them on Redbox, but I don't really usually see them in theaters if I know they could be really bad or just average. I don't know, it's just not worth my money. This was like almost an experiment, like, can this be at least passable? And I'm really not trying to be a cynic, too. I'm not trying to be just a critic. I care if I have a visceral experience. I don't like overly mentally analyze a movie. It's like because on paper, oh, this script was like this and this, this means this movie's bad. No, if I viscerally get an experience that's pleasurable or is exciting in any way, I will like the movie, even if it's on paper a bad movie. This movie was irritating. It was annoying. The lines were like a soundboard from like any action movie. It was like, action movie, insert action movie line number 456.5 here. And I was really trying to read the emotion on people's faces, and it just wasn't convincing. Usually in these movies don't care about acting as much, unless it's really bad, but it didn't do anything. And I can't say the acting was that much better in Spectral. It was kind of flat. Whatever. These are movies I'm expecting to be good. There's something else about this movie. Oh, that scene with the vent. That stuck with me the most. That and when the walls are closing in. I was trying to follow that and just... It's almost like as if it was out of order as far as the editing. I couldn't follow a timeline in those 30 seconds or so of that action scene or minute when that was happening. I couldn't figure out that this logically happened, then this happened, then this happened. It was so quick, and it was always, every action scene was a close-up. I don't remember any that were wide. And I think this would be a good bridge to Spectral. I found Spectral pretty forgettable, and many people rated it that way. It was pretty good, but man, it wasn't great. Worthy of possibly sequel, even if they would try harder, especially with characters. If they could make good characters in that, it would be cool. Maybe there was shaky cam in it, but I don't remember any irritating shaky cam. I don't remember a lot of close. A lot of it was in rooms, the action in Spectral. Quantum of Solace, when I first noticed this bothering me in an action movie, I know it probably happened before that, but when it was that quick ADHD editing, I call it. I don't remember that in Spectral. I remember it being relatively well done. Maybe not like anything great or groundbreaking, but just for a passable, watching a fun action sci-fi movie, the shots were generally wide and well edited. It didn't bother me to watch. I didn't get a sense of just anger against it, of confusion, of irritation. I found the characters, I couldn't even tell what these characters were trying to be so much, the main two. The guy was, I don't know if he's trying to be melodramatic or underacting, or I think they were bad actors particularly, but there was just kind of something really missing with their characters in it. But it wasn't the level of stupid, of ineptness of the Resident Evil movie. It looked good too. For an independent studio release, even on Netflix, even when you start seeing the city, and it's obviously a CGI city, it looked good. And I was pretty convinced. And the Spectral things, I was like, oh, that's CGI. It was good CGI, it wasn't bad. I mean, for like a $150 million movie, it was bad by comparison, but it was good for what it was. Those Spectral things, that was the most convoluted way to make a villain or a super soldier. I mean, okay, spoilers, if you're sensitive about spoiling some plot point in the movie. It's like they were like recreating, like 3D printing human beings or something, and then they kept their nervous systems alive in another room, and then that somehow created these spectral things by accident or something that were somehow supposed to be super soldiers, but they didn't work, and now if they go through you die. I didn't exactly get it. I'll have to see it again. Maybe that there's nothing to get, but I mean, not that it's like science you're supposed to figure out, but it just was like convoluted. Like, why not just genetically enhance? That sounds easy enough compared to like keeping their soul alive in a nervous system that's outside of the body and having some projection of their soul in these forms. I don't know. It was a popcorn, forgettable action sci-fi. And you watch it, and you're like, oh, that happened. Okay, it didn't really help or hurt, but it was kind of fun, pretty colors. Wasn't Michael Bay stupid or Resident Evil stupid? Resident Evil movies stupid. Games are great. It made me appreciate that movie, seeing Resident Evil last night. Made me appreciate Spectral. It was really forgettable, but I was like, man, I gotta go back and watch that because it's like, thank you. Thank you for being a passable, everyday action movie. And I swear they took the way the weapons of soldiers looked, both from Aliens and Halo. It really felt like that. They're like trying to cater to that. I know Halo's such a big scale and video game movies don't work, but it would be cool. It just made me appreciate pretty mediocre, decent, throwaway movie that could have Netflix sequels. I'd watch it. I was like, thank you for not being that Resident Evil. Seriously, that movie, I tried not to hate. I was like, I'm gonna just follow it along. Whatever it takes me, I'm just gonna follow along with it, and it was like a slap to the face repeatedly. My friend was telling me this is a bad movie during it, and in the parking lot walking out, some guy was just ranting about it, how bad it was. Just like, I respect if you like those as movies. I have some bad movies. I have my guilty pleasures. So no judgments if you like that series. I just can't like them internally because the games or even the old games, was such a better cinematic experience and have real tension. This movie, it made the other ones look good. It just was horrible. It was pain. It was punishment. There's no other way to put it. So yeah, I'm gonna stop ranting, and thank you for listening to my rambles.
Be sure to visit breathingunderwater.us. Follow me on Instagram at breathingunderwater1 and drop me a line at breathingunderwater1@gmail.com. Please note that I do not claim any ownership of any media presented in this podcast, which is only used for promotional purposes unless otherwise noted. And all views and opinions are those of the person expressing them and do not represent any other entities discussed in this podcast.